Hey, girls and boys, it is Mr. McAndrew, the math coach. Okay, so I hope yesterday you had fun. Because if you did today, you're going to have even more fun, I think. Okay, so bear with me. It's a little bit more complicated today. So let's take a look at our project. Let me back out of here. So you should have your paper from your math package say Scavenger Hunt Day number 2. Okay, that would be today's should be Thursday. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna use shoes to measure and talk about multiplicative comparison. Okay, so let's get this party started. Okay, this says, all right, so we're gonna start with measure the length in inches of one of your shoes. How long is it? Okay, so this is one of my kids' stinky shoes. You want to make sure you measure from the heel, from the heel, that's the heel, to the toe, like this. Okay, and you want to use your measuring tape. All right, so I think this is about 8 inches. Your shoes are probably, yeah, I think it's about, so it's not exact, it's about, okay, about 8 inches. So that's okay, it's about 8 inches, it's closer than 9 inches. Remember, this is like rounding, okay? So your shoes, this shoe belongs to a first grader, so your shoes are probably, a little bit longer. But just for the sake of this example, I'm going to pretend like the shoe is really tiny. And I'm going to say it's only 4 inches. So I would write down my shoe is 4 inches. Okay? Those two little lines mean inches. Or you could also write it like this. 4 inches. Okay? All right, so next it says if someone had a shoe that was twice as long as yours, how long would it be? Okay, so in my example, which you're not going to use, you're going to use your own shoe. That would be twice 4 would be 8 inches. Okay? All right, so far so good, right? Moving right along. Now, if a giant had shoes that were 5 times longer than your shoes, how long would they be? Well, if your shoes were 4 inches, which they are not, then that means it would be 5 times, let's see, 5 times 4 inches, okay, because this is the length of your shoe, okay? So what's 5 times 4? 5, 10, 15, 20, okay, so that would be 20 inches. So if a giant had shoes that were 5 times longer than yours, they would be 20 inches. Those would be some big shoes, boys and girls, okay? Like we're talking like shoes that like look on your tape measure. It would start here and go all the way to here. I mean, those are some shoes, but it is a giant we're talking about, okay? So back to your paper. What I want you to do is find an object, remember this is a scavenger hunt, in your house that is about, not exactly, about 5 times longer than your shoe, which according to our calculations is 20 inches if you were using this, but you're not using that. So yours might be more like 40 inches or 45, 46 inches or something like that, okay? So it's going to be pretty long. It might be the length of a dresser. It could be the height of a door. It might be the height of you or one of your siblings. You got to find something that's around that size and then write down the name of the object. So if it was the height of a door, I would write that down. Okay? You can use your tape measure. You could use you could use your shoe, right? You could place it and then mark it and then place it again and do it 5 times, right? But I think your tape measure will be easier. Okay, last page. Okay, what I want you to do next is I want you to ask, ask, don't get me in trouble, ask one of your parents, somebody with a longer shoe, and ask if you can borrow it and measure it, okay? If it's stinky, just don't breathe for a few seconds. measure the length of the shoe in inches and record it here. So let's pretend like this shoe that you measure is 10 inches. Trust me, it'll be longer than 10 inches, but measure it and see what you get. Okay, it might be 22 inches, might be 25 inches. It could be, I don't know, you have to measure it. Now, find an object that is about, let me move my head around, 5 times longer than this shoe. We're going to call this object E. So 5 times longer than 10, I think we know that, right, is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Okay, so that would be 50 inches, and so 50 inches, and maybe that's going to be the length of your bed. Okay, I don't know what it's going to be, but you're going to have to find it. Now, this might be different for you. Okay, you might have to, if it's if the longer shoe is like 20 inches, you might have to do 20 plus 20 plus 20 plus 20 plus 20, and that would be 100. So it might be a little bit of calculating here. Okay. So this is the tricky question, number 10. Now again, boys and girls, if at any point you want to pause the video and work on something, you can pause the video. You don't have to listen to the whole thing. Okay, it's a lot. Object E, which you just measured, is about 5 times longer than the big shoe you just measured, right? Than one of your parent shoes that we were just talking about. How many times longer is object E than your shoe? So in my example, it was 4 inches. So if object E was, let's say it was 50 inches, 50 is how many times more than 4? That's going to be about like 12 times more. It's going to take a little calculating. This is more of a challenge, okay? But you can do it. All right, we're going to get into bigger multiplication this year. You can figure this out. So I'm going to say it's about 12 times. Okay? Why do you think object E was more times longer? Oops, sorry, let me get my hat out of the way. Was more times longer than your shoe, than the longer shoe you borrowed. Right? So object E, which is, maybe it was the length of your bed, is only 5 times longer than the big shoe that you used, but it was like 12 times longer than your shoe. Why do you think that is? So I want you to write down any pictures or thoughts that you have about that. Maybe you could draw a little shoe and a big shoe and try and explain it that way. Okay, so the whole point of this though is get your brain thinking, okay, multiplicative comparison, and see if you can find an object that is 5 times longer than one of your parents' shoes, or a shoe that's longer, okay, and then can you figure out how many times longer it is, like say it's the length of your bed, than your shoe? And if you're not sure, what you can do is take your shoe, right, or take both of them, and then just like put it, so let me make myself bigger. Okay, so let's say that you found the length of your bed was about 5 times longer than your parent's shoe. So then take your shoe, and you're going to want to measure using the shoe. So I'm going to put the shoe here, right, and then mark here, put it here. That's twice, 3 times, 4 times, and see how many times. You don't even have to use the tape measure. You could just use the shoe. All right, I'm sorry if this is a little bit complicated, but I think you can do it. Okay, let me know if you have any questions, and have fun. Tomorrow I have another fun project for you using your tape measure. Okay, so be good, be kind, and good luck with the math, and I'll see you soon. All right, bye-bye.